Welcome to the Qaoss introductory video. Qaoss is a peer-to-peer social media network. The existing centralized social media platforms require that all users have an account and there are terms of service associated with using the platform. In other words, if you don't abide or if the managers or the administrators of this centralized platform feel that you haven't agreed to or abided by or obeyed the terms of the service, that's why you have an account. So they can censor your account. They can block your account. They can kick you out, deactivate your account. They sell your personal data to advertisers. And on some occasions, your personal data can be shared with the quote-unquote authorities. That's because this is a centralized platform. All the information goes through a centralized hub for each user. The users are, in fact, the product on a centralized platform, and the application and all its bells and whistles are the lures. So companies like Facebook collect all the users' personal and other data and create profiles of their users that are sold to advertisers and shared with the quote-unquote authorities when told to do so. In the last year or so, we've seen these centralized platforms engage in extreme levels of censorship in order to create a social climate that they want, trying to persuade people to think a certain way and not allowing them to have all the information available from all available sources. Qaoss is a solution to these big centralized social media platforms. Qaoss is decentralized social media, a decentralized network with no central point of connection. Every user connects to every other user directly as they choose. No user accounts are required, and there are no terms of service to be enforced. So it's impossible by design of the network to be censored. There's nobody to censor you except yourself. You can't be blocked because there's nobody to block you. You can't be kicked off the network. You can participate in the network anytime you want, as long as there are others who want to connect with you. There's no accounts required, no personal data that can be gathered, no advertising, and no information to be shared with the authorities. The vision is to provide a simple-to-use, decentralized social media network with a familiar interface, free of censorship, advertising, and government intervention. A platform where all your social media stays right on your computer, where you control it and others can request it. No accounts or personal information are required that can be mined and sold to advertisers or shared with the quote-unquote authorities. No subjective community standards, no arbitrary fact-checking, no blocking or deletion of content, no central authority molding public opinion along their socio-political lines. Users are free to say and see whatever they want, from whomever they want, and they are free to ignore whatever they want. By its design, not by its policy, it's impossible for anyone to censor you, serve ads, or see your Qaoss timeline without your permission. Everyone runs their own social media timeline on their own computer, and we connect directly to one another. Qaoss is an open source project built out of the passion for individual freedom and dignity. It's not meant to be a replacement for centralized social media, but to complement it, one of many possible alternatives. So let's take a look at the Qaoss proof of concept. So this is the Qaoss interface. It has my timeline, my personal timeline in the middle, and it has a framework around it on the left side and on the right side. So let's take a look at the framework section by section. The first section here is the home section, and it's just that. All it does is bring you back to the beginning of your personal timeline. Either click on home or on the timeline name. Qaoss doesn't require any user accounts, so everybody is just an alias, and you can assign the aliases to yourself and to your friend as you wish. So here in the home section, we have an alias and we have a URL. The purpose of the URL is because in order for us to connect to one another on our home networks, we need what's called an IP tunnel. And the IP tunnel service then allows us to connect to one another directly behind our home routers on our home networks. So everybody will have a URL, a custom URL. You can select any URL that you would like. That too is up to you. And then you can give yourself an alias. And the same, it'll be the same for your friends. So you can see here in the next section, this is our friends section. And here I have a friend Bobby. And this is the alias that I gave him. I can change that at any time, and we'll see that in a minute. And here is Bobby's alias underneath it. So the idea is if Bobby were online and he's not right now, then I could click on this and I could see Bobby's timeline. Next to each friend, you have a contextual menu where you can do a number of different things. You can send messages to one another. You can edit the friend over here. You can edit his alias that you've given him, his domain name, or whether he's a friend or a group timeline. You can delete the friend, or you can just quit out of the contextual menu. So for example, if this is Bobby, but we realize, hey, Bobby doesn't really like being called Bobby, he just likes being called Bob, then we can change his alias to Bob. Okay. Below the friends section is our group section. What this does is in Qaoss, you can have a personal timeline where only you can post to the timeline, or you can have a group timeline, just like a group in any other social media, in that people who belong to that group or are friends of that group can also post on that timeline. So in this case, I have two Qaoss timelines running on my computer, my personal one and a group one that I call Coop. Over here on the personal timeline, I have Coop as a friend. And over here on the group timeline, I have Test Robot as a friend. So they're friends, so they can see each other's timelines. And you can toggle the friends in the groups back and forth. So for example, if you added Bob as a friend, but he's actually has his timeline configured as a group, then you can move Bob over to the group timeline. And vice versa. If Bob really should have been just a friend, then we can move him back to the friend section. Okay. Where you manage your friends and your groups is for your convenience, so that you know that when you click on Coop, let's click on Coop right now, we'll get his timeline. And you can see that even though this is my Qaoss application here, Don Cooper, I requested Coop's timeline, and since he has it configured as a group, I can actually post on his timeline. Right? So I can say Coop, robot, posting in the group. Right. So that's the difference, that's the only difference really between a personal Qaoss timeline and a group Qaoss timeline. And so this is the sort of place where people can organize with confidence and without being censored or advertisements being displayed or quote unquote prying eyes. Okay. So let me go back over to my personal timeline. So that's the left-hand side of the framework. Over here on the right-hand side, we have an administrative section. The administrative section is to manage your profile. Your profile includes your profile pic, the alias that you gave yourself, and whether you want to configure your timeline to be a group or not. So for example, if over here we want to change our profile pic, maybe we can put it to something like this and just update it so it makes it easy for us to manage our personal profiles. Right? If we wanted to change the alias that we had for ourselves, we do that here. And if we've decided, hey, we want to open up our timeline to be like a group so other people can post in it, then we can do that here as well. Okay. The Add Friends section. This is where you add friends to your timeline. Qaoss is by invitation only, so it's impossible, unlike with Facebook and some of the other centralized social media platforms. You can't see somebody's social media timeline without them, without you requesting access to it and them approving it, accepting that request. So, say we were to add a new friend, we'll call him Dave, and this is Dave's domain. Okay, so we added Dave as a friend over here, and at the same time, a request would be sent to Dave. And Dave would have to approve that request. So let's do it with, I have two timelines running, so let's do it with the Coop timeline so we can see the entire friend mechanism. So we'll delete Coop over here, and we'll delete Robot over here on the Coop timeline. So Coop and Robot are no longer friends. Okay? So let me add Coop over here. The alias I'm going to give him can be anything. His domain name is Coop DeVille. I'll just call him Coop for simplicity. Coop DeVille is the domain name. I know for a fact that he's running, because he told me that he's running a group, Qaoss Timeline. Okay, and so we add him, and you see it tells me a friend request has been sent to Coop DeVille. And if I click on his timeline, you see I don't get anything. Because he has to accept the request, and security tokens are generated that have to accompany every single request in both directions for security purposes. So if we go to Coop's timeline now, we can see down here, this is the last section on the right-hand side. There's a friend request section. And we see over here that I have a request from Test Robot. I can accept it, I can reject it, or I can quit out of the contextual menu. So let me go ahead and accept it. And when I accept it, then Qaoss will add Test Robot as a friend over here. Right? And you can see that Test Robot and by default, since the aliases are subjective to the user, when you add a new friend, accept a friend request, the alias is the same as the domain, but we can edit that to be anything we want now. So let's call him Robot like we did before, right? And now Coop can also see Robot's timeline. Yeah. So that's the friend mechanism. We can also send messages to one another. That's the second section here over on the right-hand side. So if I wanted to send a message to Coop, I wanted to say, maybe I have a friend who's on the network, and I think that my friend Coop would be interested. Right, I can send him a message. My message was sent to Coop DeVille, and then over here on Coop's timeline, he'll have a green new message box. And he sees he has a new message from Test Robot. He sees who Test Robot is over here in the friends section. So he can open the message. You might want to add David at Dave's domain. You have a lot in common. Okay, that sounds great. Once it's read, it automatically goes to the red box, and you can leave it there if you want. Under no obligation to do anything with it there. You can just leave it there. And then I can go up here and I can add Dave. Dave at Dave's domain. All right. And then now a request will be sent from Coop to Dave, requesting friends on the Qaoss network. All right. Okay. So that's all of the framework sections on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, a lot of functionality to help users connect with one another. So let's look at the main timeline. We tried to make this interface as familiar as possible with existing social media interfaces. So up here at the top, we have where the user can post on his timeline. So what's on your mind? Typical, right? So let's post something. This is a demonstrative video post. Okay. And we have the ability to post a number of different things. We can post photos. We can post URLs with a photo. Let's do a photo first. And browse our own computers for a photo that we might want to post. I have something here at the beach somewhere. I'll do this one. All right. And maybe we change our minds. All right, so let's pick a different photo. Okay, and then we save it. Okay. So now when we post something on our Qaoss timeline, it never leaves our computer. It goes right straight to our archives folder on our hard drive, and it sits there waiting for other users on the network to request the timeline, and then it sends those posts to them. So that's why it's impossible for somebody to censor you unless you censor yourself, because it's all right on your own computer. This never left my computer yet. if we go over to the Coop timeline and, assume Coop is somewhere in the world and he and I are friends and he requests my Qaoss timeline, well, now it gets picked up off my computer and sent over to Coop. Right? Okay, we can also post URLs. Let's go to YouTube, or better yet, BitChute. BitChute is really nice for posting videos. Again, I believe they use a blockchain, so it's much more difficult for things to be censored and all those sorts of things on BitChute. Okay, let's post something here to do with current events. Right, so all you have to do is, let's shut that off, sorry. Current events video. And remember, on Qaoss, since it's peer-to-peer and nothing ever leaves your computer unless somebody requests it, then you can post anything you want. There are no terms of services, no accounts to be blocked or censored. Literally, you can post anything you want. So let's post this video. So what Qaoss does when you post a URL is it'll go out to that URL, and if it has a preview picture, a preview title, and a preview description available, it'll what we say scrape that site and bring that information back to your Qaoss timeline for other people to see. So you can see here, this has a preview picture, a title, and then in the description it has a bunch of other links. So I got all those links, right? This one here from YouTube for the America's Got Talent auditions are the same. It's a little more typical here. The title and the description is just that. Over here for this one off of BitChute, the description was somebody put a bunch of URLs there, right? Okay, and these URLs are active, so if you click on them, they take you to the site, right? Okay, and of course we can edit any of our posts. Let's pick one here that that has something that might just be some kind of text or something. I don't know. Let's delete this one, and let's edit one. Here's. Let's just make a new one. Let's make a little, just something with some text so we can edit it. Okay, so this is an edit text post. So we just, something simple. And then we want to edit it. So this is an edit text post with some more stuff. Great. Let's save our edits. Maybe we want to add a photo. We've decided. Let's find something. Rodney Dangerfield's always funny, but I don't know. Let's see. I had a beach picture here. Here it is. Yep, so let's add a pic to it. And then let's edit it again and say, nah, I don't want that pic. Yeah, I'm sure I want to delete the photo. So leaves us there. And so on. Okay, so that you can edit, delete your posts after you make them. So again, let's delete this right now. So let's go down to this first post here, and we have some typical social media functionality. I only included the like functionality. This isn't really a place for people to come and get their daily fill of social media validation, right? I included it simply because I know people would be expecting to see it, okay? More importantly here are the comments. So we can comment just like any old social media. Vaccine information is relevant, right? So we can make a comment, and then you can see who made the comment based on their domain name here. The reason we use the domain names, not the aliases, is because aliases are subjective and can be changed at any time. So we need something that's constant, and the domain name should be constant, right? And once we have a comment, we can edit the comments. Vaccine information is relevant in 2021. And we can reply. Say that again. Okay. And others, of course, can see our timeline and they can join the conversation. That's one of the big advantages, right? So we'll see here. Right. So here now, this is a Test Robot's Chaos timeline. He made a comment. He replied to his own comment, and then another user replied. And since we're actually on the Qaoss timeline here, and he made the comment, he has the ability to edit it. And over here on Robot's timeline, you'll see he has the ability to edit and administer his comments, but he doesn't have access to the group details, obviously, right? Okay, so let's see, we can delete some comments, right? Let's refresh this. So Coop gets the updates. Coop can delete his comment, and Test Robot's left with only his original comment, right? And we can delete that as well. Okay. There's a feed mechanism. It starts off by posting the first couple of posts, and then as you scroll, it'll feed in additional posts. Right. The Qaoss support link over here, kind of jumped over that. That'll take you to the Qaoss site. On the Qaoss site, there's a short Qaoss presentation, more information about who the audience is for this network, a link to the project on GitHub. It's open source. You can download the application here. Installation instructions here. It takes about 4 to 5 minutes maximum. And then here's where you'll have access to this video. Also important is we have a share functionality so that we can share information across our network. So for example, if I go to Qaoss timeline and I see a post that I'm interested in this case it's just a video, a Vivo video, Amy Winehouse, then I can say I want to share it on my timeline. Since everything that we post in Qaoss is saved directly to our computer, when we want to share something from somebody else's timeline, we're basically just downloading it to our timeline. So we say save, and then when we, the next time we request our timeline, or anybody requests our timeline actually, those new posts get indexed and added to our timeline. So here now we have the Amy Winehouse video on my timeline.